Hey guys, welcome to the first video of the Take 30 Podcast YouTube channel. How are you guys? Hope you guys are doing well. I am going to be talking about podcasting. So it's all about getting started with your podcast and growing your podcast and creating content and promoting it on social media. But for those of you who do not know who I am, I'm just going to go ahead and do a little introduction to myself. It won't be long. So, my name is Erica. I am the host of the Take 30 podcast. My podcast talks a lot about mental health. So I interview different people who come from different backgrounds, and I share their mental health struggles, and I share my own personal struggles with social anxiety. So the goal of the podcast is to help break the stigma surrounding the conversation of mental health, because I feel like society just doesn't talk about it enough. And by me using my voice to help others who are struggling, I want to be that friend, be that sister, be that, be that person and be there for them. I want to be able to help them in any way that I can. Now, I will tell you this. I am not a mental health professional. I advocate for mental health, but I am not licensed. So if you are struggling with your mental health, make sure to reach out to a licensed therapist and make sure to reach out to a good support system, because I really think it's so important to have that. I also work part-time while I am navigating the road towards full-time entrepreneurship. And what else? I'm trying to think. You can find my show on Spotify, Google, Amazon Music. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about starting your podcast, the tools that you need to just get started, because everybody has to start somewhere, right? So this is a video that's just going to be talking about starting your podcast, growing your podcast, and ways to promote your podcast. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first point that I want to make as far as starting the podcast, right? You have to make sure that you find a microphone that has good quality sound. So the microphone that I use is called the JLab Pro. This microphone costs me $50, but it's really good. It gives you good quality sound. However, the only, I want to say, downfall with this microphone, it does tend to pick up background noise. So make sure when you are recording, make sure that you are recording in a quiet space, right? Where there's not noise, because it does tend to pick up noise in the background. And I mean, you do have different editing softwares that you can edit out, but I love the JLab Pro. It's a really good little microphone, and I will link it. You can get it at Best Buy for $50. So I'll link it down below, and I will, you guys can check it out. But, so you want to find a microphone that's not too pricey for you to start off with. And you want to make sure that you have a good software to record. So I am currently using Riverside. Riverside is where I use to record my episodes. And especially when I'm doing interviews, I use Riverside.fm. It's good quality video. And as I'm recording this little video for you guys, I'm using Riverside right now. And I personally love Riverside, and I highly recommend it for you guys to check out Riverside to record your podcast episodes. Now, to edit and to publish your episodes, I use Spotify for Podcasters, which was originally called Anchor. Spotify for Podcasters allows you to record, edit, and publish your episodes. And that's where I use to edit my episodes is Spotify for Podcasters. And it's free. You can record on your phone or you could record on your computer, whatever works for you. So that is like how you can get started. So let's talk a little bit about promoting your podcast. So it is very essential to use social media to promote it, right? I use Instagram, Facebook, and I recently just got on TikTok. And I noticed with all the platforms, Facebook, you can talk about a lot of different things. And Instagram, I'm still trying to play with Instagram in the sense that it's taking me a little while to grow my following, but my following has grown in the last year and a half that I've been doing it. So, I think my biggest advice for you guys is make sure to stay consistent. Make sure to stay consistent on your podcast. If you have an Instagram or a Facebook page for it, make sure to post consistently. Now, I know sometimes life gets into the way, but you want to make sure that you have a schedule. So I always have a schedule of, okay, this is the time that I'm going to dedicate to record my episodes. This is the time to dedicate that I'm going to post on social media. I'm going to create reels, whatever that may be. Have a schedule. It's really important that you have a schedule so that, at this time, this is the time that I'm going to take to record my episode of the podcast. This is the time that I'm going to take to post content on social media. So make sure to have a schedule when it comes to posting. And also try to engage with your following, engage with other podcasters, because that is so, so important. And I'm all for supporting other podcasters, supporting, other women who are doing the same thing that I'm doing. So make sure to engage on their posts as well. Now I know another thing that most podcasters talk a lot about is, especially with the monetizing part of it, right? Get on other people's podcasts, get ads, get brand deals, right? But as a small content creator who is just starting and evolving, it's really hard to get on other people's shows sometimes. So recently, I will say that I was just recently on a podcast. I was a guest on somebody else's podcast and basically talking a lot about my show, talking a little bit about, what, I do for my podcasts and stuff like that. But it's really hard sometimes to book yourself on other people's show. And I know a lot of other big name podcasters will tell you guys that, or they'll tell you to go on to do ads. And as somebody who's just starting, I want to be real with you on, first, this is how I started. I started off with 0 followers. Now I have over 1,000 almost 2,000 followers. So I want to be real with you on how I got from 0 followers to almost 2,000 followers, right? And for me, it was all about creating a schedule and staying consistent with posting on social media. And so that is how, I started from 0 followers, because I didn't have any followers when I first started, right? I just started posting, and that's when more and more people started following the kind of content and loving the kind of content that I do. So it's all about, the key to growing is staying consistent, So one of the things that, I made a schedule today, and I am going to try my best and post some YouTube videos on the podcast the podcast YouTube channel for you guys, so that you guys get additional content. And I will try my absolute best to go live on YouTube. But the key is to stay consistent and to create a schedule that best suits you. So for me, I work part-time, and I'm creating content. So it's really important for me to say, okay, this is a time that I'm off today. This is a time that I'm going to take to record episodes of the podcast, record YouTube videos for you guys, so you guys get to see, what I do to create, how I got started with my podcast, and how I've grown my podcast within the last year and a half. So I want to keep it very, very real with you guys, because a lot of these big name podcasters, they'll tell you, get on ads, get ads, do ads, get brand deals. And that's not so easy as people think, right? So, my biggest advice for you guys is to just start and stay consistent and create a schedule that works for you, especially if maybe you work full time and you're a business owner. Maybe you are a mom and you are also trying to balance a business. It's so important to create the schedule that works for you. All right. So let's see what else I can think of. I think one of the things that I want to talk about too, right? And I'm still trying to get comfortable doing lives. I want to try to go live on Instagram and on Facebook and on YouTube and even TikTok. Now, I will tell you, I am not the biggest fan of TikTok, but I really want to help, connect with you guys on there, because majority of you guys are on TikTok. But I think it is important for me to use live as part of my strategy when growing my audience, and use live to connect with you guys, connect with my audience. So another thing that I am trying to do is get comfortable doing more lives. So I want to go live on Instagram and, talk about, maybe I'll just focus more on podcasting and connecting with other podcasters like myself. YouTube will be, just talking a little bit about how to go more in depth on growing your podcast. And, TikTok will be, maybe talking a little bit about the trendy videos that's going around, and also promoting the podcast as well. So, I think with every platform, in order to grow, there's different strategies for each platform. And that's where I'm still trying to learn to figure out. And I can't believe I said that. I'm still learning to figure out what it takes to grow on each platform, right? So I think It's important to, maybe study the different platforms, like study YouTube, see what and other content creators, what they post on their YouTube channels. And for TikTok, just talking a little bit about, okay, there's a lot of trendy videos that people are talking about. Let me go on and see what we can do. And also, promoting, the episodes of the podcast, because TikTok, can take, you can go viral on TikTok in a matter of days, weeks, months. TikTok is the new thing. Same thing with Facebook. Facebook is the new, is the thing too, where, your platform tends to grow quickly than Instagram. So I think it's important to, figure out what content works for each platform. And I know, if you guys don't know, the Girl Take Note podcast, Shawnee Sanders, she talks a little bit about that. And if you guys have not checked out her show, it is amazing. She interviews different women and share their stories about entrepreneurship. Definitely check that out. And I'll link her her podcast in the description below so you guys can check her out. She's amazing. But anyway, so I think it's so important to figure out what content works for each platform. All right. And then I'm going to touch on one last thing before I end this video. So I think when it comes to starting a podcast, right? Figure out what topics you are interested in. So for me, I wanted to talk about mental health, but I really had to kind of, talk about, okay, I want to do mental health. What topics do I want to specify on? What topics do I want to, sorry, I'm getting mixed up with my words, but what topics do I want to focus on, and who is my targeted audience? So I think when it comes to podcasting, you have to find out, okay, what topics do you want to focus on? And for you, if let's say you want to talk about true crime, don't think, oh, I'm just another true crime podcast. No. If that is something you are passionate about, talk about that. And focus on, okay, who's my targeted audience? What specific topics do I want to, what specific topics do I want to focus on if my podcast is going to be about true crime? If your podcast is going to be about entrepreneurship, focus on, okay, how can I narrow it down a little bit? Who is my targeted audience? And kind of go from there. Because what I did was I jotted down the topics that I'm interested in talking about on the podcast and really narrowing it down, like, who is my targeted audience? So for me, I want to reach young adults, right? I want to talk about mental health, and my targeted audience is young adults. So that means about 18 to 29, and especially for Black women and Black people in general. So that is where I'm focused on. So you have to kind of, figure out in the process, what is my topic going to be about? Who is my targeted audience? And kind of write it down. It really helps to get your ideas down on pencil or paper, or on a notes app if you are like me. Sometimes I like to use my computer to jot down my notes. And figure out what topics you want to talk about, because that is so, so important. Or what's your main focus? What is your podcast going to be about? So that's how you get started. And I did leave that out in the beginning. All right. So I think I've touched on everything that I needed to talk about. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first video of the podcast YouTube channel. And I am going to be doing more of this in the future later on. I'll record more videos for you guys. And yeah. And hopefully I'll be doing like little daily vlogs too. Daily vlogs on like how I set up my podcast and just give you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes. Anyhow, I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.